Syllabus change, guys, you remember in the first day of my webinar, I clarified that the syllabus change for SBL is very minor. Okay, and a lot of panic is being created, especially by other teachers. They are arranging full day sessions on syllabus change of SBL just to create panic. And I'm not saying they are wrong, but they are very focused on the theoretical or bookish aspects, definitions, this and that. Whereas by now you should realize my approach is very practical, exam focused, a CFO focused approach. So from that angle, the syllabus changes are very minor. Only 2 topics have been added. One is called 4 lines of defense. It's a topic under risk management. And another topic which was added is artificial intelligence, robotics, and machine learning. That's it. Only these 2 topics have been added, and they are very small topics in the large scheme of things. Very, very small topic, not even 0.5%. Okay, and they're very logical, straightforward topics, nothing complicated. One topic was deleted, which was Tucker's 5-question approach for ethical situations. I don't give a shit whether it was deleted or not, because I never focused on this model anyway. And then there are several amendments, but most of those amendments are for clarification purposes, no significant amendment. Okay, most of them are just changing the position or changing the sequence or putting a comma here or putting extra 2 words there, those kind of things. So the main thing we need to focus is these 2 topics. Okay, so please do not let the syllabus change panic you. Get panicked for the right reasons, not for these things. Okay, so the first topic is called artificial intelligence, robotics, and machine learning. So I want this to be an interactive session. I want you guys to participate. Okay, so do you know what is AI? I'm sure AI or artificial intelligence are computers which, thinks and behaves like a human. They have artificial intelligence in them. So they can think, they can solve problems, they can take decisions, they can talk, they can analyze, they can execute just like a human. That is why it's called artificial learning. And then, though another stupid word like machine learning, robotics, they are all the same thing, just some minor differences, but in real life, these words are used interchangeably. They all mean intelligent machines, intelligent systems, which works and thinks and learns like a human. Okay, so don't worry about the definitions. All of them means these are systems which are intelligent and they work, think, and take decisions like a human. Now you will see that a lot of industries are now using or moving towards artificial intelligence, robotics, machine learning, manufacturing industry. So whenever there are complex manufacturings like automobile and very complicated parts for IT industries, those are all done by robotics. You must have seen factories in National Geographic or documentaries that the entire factory is automated. There are like robots or robotic arms. They are manufacturing products. The manufacturing industry, where there is repetitive tasks required, high precision tasks required, better to have robotics. Then retail and customer experience. A lot of these big data, these websites, Google Analytics, all these things, they analyze what you want, they suggest things, they study your behavior and they suggest. So retail and customer experience is using AIs. You must have seen the word bots. So when you want to chat, when you want to have a chat, when you go to a website of a company and do a chat, you will be chatting to a robot, right? They're called bots. So these are all AI, smart intelligence softwares. Big data and data analytics, they use all these kind of AI softwares. Financial investments and financial tradings. So a lot of systems are there. It is called EAs, expert systems, which things like a finance expert, they analyze the data, the graph, the markets, and take financial decisions just like an investment guru. Transportation. Have you heard of driverless cars? Do you know that airplanes, they fly on autopilots? They can land without even a pilot touching a single button. Do you know this road and signal management can all be automated? So transportation is using all medicine and surgeries. Have you heard of robotic surgeries? Like the surgeon is living in France and he's doing a surgery in India through robotics. Like whatever hand movements he's doing in France, a robot is executing the surgery in India. So all this is possible because of AI's, robotics, and machine learning technology. So a lot of technological progress is happening. Things have changed that to a certain extent that now machines are replacing humans. What did I say? Machines are replacing humans. Do you know that Amazon has one outlet, I think in Dallas or Chicago, which is 0 employees. It's a full-fledged departmental store, huge, but no employees. You just walk in as a customer, pick your stuff, and walk out. No cashier, no nothing. Go in, put the stuff in your bag, and walk out. Khalas. Everything is automated. The systems, there are cameras, there are like signals, everything is controlled. That whatever you pick from, they have an app, whatever you pick from the shelf and put in your basket, it will be immediately recorded by the AI systems. The moment you step out of the store, they will automatically charge your card, and that's it. All the inventory management, the store, physical storekeeping, everything. It's a human-less store. How possible? Through AI. Interesting and scary. Do you agree? It's interesting, but it is scary because it is changing the dynamics of business. It is changing the nature of competition. The customer psyche is changing. Hamza is saying that robot operates hotel in Japan. Yes. So you see, when I went to Tokyo, and in Tokyo they have the world's largest train station. It's called Shinjuku Station. And a Shinjuku Station, it handles 1 million passengers every hour. So you can imagine the amount of people in and out of Shinjuku Station. 1 million people per hour, especially at peak hours. And in Japan, you know that they have a language problem. So very less people, they speak English, right? So when I went there, so they had a lot of robots at the station. And they are all moving robots. They were looking at the people just like humans. And it said on their chest Can I help you? Or how can I help you? So we wanted to ask something, so we started, talking to a robot, and he was actually listening to us, and then he answered our question in English, and we then started playing with him, like we were started asking him some tricky questions, and he was answering. He was so intelligent, and he had facial expressions. So when he was pissed off because we were now making fun of him, taking pictures or asking, sexy questions or foolish questions, and I could see that his eyes were started getting red. But jokes apart, that machine actually guided us and answered our questions. Siri in iPhone. Oh, Manur, that's a good one. Siri in iPhone. Yeah, yeah. Sophia is a girl robot. Interesting. Yeah, the name is Amazon Go. Yes, excellent. I forgot the name. All right. So now move on. What are the advantages of having AIs? Of course, it's faster, it's accurate, 24/7 employee related issues can be avoided. So if it's a factory, all right, so the machines, the robots can work 24/7, and issues like trade unions and strikes and all these things, bye bye, it's all machines now. I don't need you buggers anymore, get lost. Definitely. But then can you think of some risks or issues relating to this such high use of technology? Number one, there's very high dependency on technology. So supposing the internet goes down, or the electricity goes down, or the main server goes down, everything will be screwed. It will come to a standstill. So very high dependency on technology. There are security and hacking risks, obviously. Misuse of personal data can happen because all these machines have a lot of personal data, right? It creates unemployment in the society. Profits will be concentrated in hands of large corporations. Lack of ethical and moral values. You think a robot or a AI system has some ethical or moral values? Will it have tears in the eyes if he sees a poor old lady with one arm and one leg and not eaten food since last 2 days? Will it feel emotional about her? No, right? And of course, one-time investment is there. What else? I'm just going to the question box. Here you present more risk than benefits of this technology, of course. So what? Mohammad Rafiq, where does it say that our benefits has to be more than the costs? It is not a financial calculation, right? And even if you Google this topic, you will see more issues and risks as of now because it's an evolving technology. Somebody said, is this disruptive technology? Somebody asked me in one of the question box, is this disruptive technology? Absolutely yes. A disruptive technology are technology, the use of technology in such a way that is going to change the traditional way of doing business. That's the technology is now screwing up the traditional way of business. So it is definitely a good example of disruptive technology. Okay. Now the last thing of this topic is ethical matters, which businesses should consider before implementing AI. I think this kind of question may be expected in in this paper, in the September attempt, that what are the ethical aspects of AI. So supposing there is an organization, it is thinking of adopting or implementing a full AI system. So other than the usual risk like high dependency on technology and hacking and data security, there are some ethical aspects. For example, a good organization will always think that what will be the impact on employment or its employees. Are they going to fire everybody and replace all the humans with machines? That has got a social implication, right? So impact on employment or unemployment or employees is something which goes under the umbrella of ethical matters, right? What about compliance with legal and social norms? Like it's a machine, right? But it has to have morals and values and social norms and legal norms. So everything needs to be programmed so that the machine is not ruthless. The machine has to have some legal and social boundaries defined within it. Then ethical use of personal data. This is a big topic that a lot of these fintech companies, a lot of these tech giants, they misuse the data. They sell our personal data to all these big data companies. You know that, right? That they sell data, they make money from our data. A lot of these companies, they make money from us because they share our data amongst them. That's unethical to misuse someone's data. That's a very ethical issue these days. Privacy and personal data. Transparency, that's something which is important, that the machines, whatever they do, it should be transparent. Transparent means that people should know what it is doing, how it is doing. It can be subject to audits, stuff like that. Accountability, that's very important. Like the other day I mentioned that if it is a driverless car, you know that, right? There are driverless taxis now. These are all automated taxis with no driver. If they go and hit a, a young child of 3-year-old and the child dies, who's gonna be accountable? There's no driver sitting in that car. It's that stupid software. She doesn't give a shit. She doesn't know what death is, right? She's not a human. So accountability, what will you do? You will just shut her down, right? So these are some tough questions, and it is still evolving. Nobody has answers, but good companies, good ethical companies will talk through these things. So these are the basic ethical aspects which AIs, we need to consider before thinking about AIs. The usual cost and benefit, all those, the commercial aspects are there, but ethical aspects are also important, right? All right, the next topic of which was included is called 4 lines of defense. This topic is under risk management. So I'll try to, so there are 4 lines of defense. I just first give you the theoretical side. So the first line of defense is employees. The second line of defense are managers. The third line of defense is internal audit, and the fourth line of defense is external audit. Just remember, the first line is employees, the second line is managers, followed by internal audit and then external audit. All right, now I'll explain what this model is about. Do you know that I'm the CFO or or the director of my company? right? The board overall is responsible for the company, correct? The board is responsible for the company and sound risk management. We all know risk, right? Risk is something futuristic which can cause severe damage to the company if it is not properly controlled, correct? And as a board, it is our fiduciary duty to make sure that proper risk management is happening, correct? I am responsible. So imagine I am the director, you are the director, we all are sitting in the board. Our company is very large, 2,000 employees, 3 countries, 10 branches or locations. How are we gonna control, or how are we gonna make sure that everybody is properly doing risk management or not? Because ultimately, who's responsible? I am responsible, you are responsible, the board is responsible. But the board is less, just like 8 or 10 people, right? And we just sit in the head office. How, if you are the director and I am the director, how do you think we can ensure that things are working properly as intended? I think I talked about it in the risk management session as well. Do you remember that chart which I showed you? There is risks, and in order to control risk, there is internal controls. How do we know that internal controls are working properly? There is internal audit. How do we know internal audit is working properly? There is audit committee. Remember that chart? Very good. Something very similar. Okay. So as directors, if we want to make sure that proper risk management and internal controls is happening throughout the entire organization, the first concept is employees. We as directors need to make sure that the employee themselves are responsible enough. I cannot go and watchdog each and every employee, right? So the first line of defense means the first safety net is that we make sure that there are proper policies and procedures in the organization so that all the employees, they are properly trained. Whoever new employee joins, he has to be very familiar with all the policy, the procedures, the internal controls, and it will be instructed to them. It will be part of their job description that, listen, honey, these are the things which you need to be very careful. These are the controls, these are the processes. You have to make sure that you abide with all these policies and controls. Then their performance evaluation will be done, and there should be a proper reward or punishment process. For example, if somebody violates the internal control or the policies, somebody was negligent, somebody made an error, then some kind of punishment, maybe punishment is a harsh word, but some kind of something needs to be done so that it doesn't go unattended, right? So the first level of defense is that we make sure that all the employees, they comply in their day-to-day work, they are vigilant, and they are complying with all the policy, procedures, and controls. After that, the second line of defense are the managers, the department head or managers who supervise these employees. So the second line of defense is that it is the duty or the responsibility of the line managers to review, to monitor, to ensure that their subordinates, they follow the policies and controls regularly on a day-to-day basis, all those things. So managers, they supervise the employees, they review and monitor their performance. In larger organizations, there is a separate risk and compliance department, especially compliance department. Some of you might be working in a compliance department. So in large banks or large complicated organizations, there is a separate function called compliance. Their only job is to make sure that employees are complying with all the policy procedures. They do spot checks, they do audits, they do this, they do that. So the first line is employees. The second line of defense is the managers who supervises them. Then comes the third line, which is internal audit. How do we know? I need maybe the managers and employees might be boyfriend and girlfriend. They might have soft corners for each other, right? So then comes the internal audit. Internal audit is supposed to be an independent objective assurance function. It is their job to see whether all the controls, whether all the managers and all those things, these first line and second line is working. Who checks that? It's the role of internal audit to make sure that the first line of defense and the second line of defense is working properly. Okay. But of course, internal audit cannot be 100% independent. At the end of the day, they are also the employees or friends, right? So the fourth line of defense is external audit. That they come and then they verify that everything is done. So these guys also, they issue report on internal controls to the board of directors. They are more independent, obviously, because they're outsiders. They are fresh pair of eyes. They have wider industry experience, but they have lesser knowledge of the company's processes. So the whole concept of this four line of defense is that as a board of director, it is not possible for me to police everything, not possible for me to become a watchdog. So there has to be a proper framework or a proper internal control environment where everybody is responsible for their own act. So starting from employees, that's the first line of defense. All employees should be careful, should follow the policy procedures, do not do anything risky. Second line of defense are the supervisors or managers or department heads whose job is to supervise and monitor their subordinates. The third line of defense is internal audit, which gives me an independent assurance that things are working. And the fourth and the last line of defense is external audit, because they are more independent and more fresh pair of eyes. So through all these four levels, we as directors, we rely on external audit reports, we rely on internal audit reports. That's the best we can do, right? Because if we are a big company, a scattered company, a decentralized company, then I have to rely on controls and these assurance functions. What do you think, guys? Where does risk committee fits into this? Very good question. So the four line of defense is part of risk management process. So the risk committee would be directly responsible to make sure that the four lines of defense is working. It's easy, but it's just a very different thing. Like, you guys are accountants, you don't understand these things. For me, it's very simple thing, because I do this in my current role. I'm finance and compliance head. But for you, because you're accountants, for you this is very, very, I would say, alien topic. But I'm glad that you liked it, and I'm glad that you found it easy. Now, what kind of question can be expected? I honestly don't know, but whatever question would come, it would be straightforward. That I have a feeling the question would be straightforward. It will, maybe the question will mention the word four line of defense. And the moment you see the word four line of defense, I need you to give four headings. And what will be the four headings? This one. Okay. First line of defense, employees, and you can talk about these things. And the exhibit will be second line heading would be second line of defense, third heading would be third line of defense. So just remember these two slides, and if it's a straightforward question, you can actually score high marks, because I don't expect anything complicated on this topic or on AI. Very good. Right, guys, so let me just take a couple of questions. Easy peasy. Yes, I'm glad. No, it will be linked with the case. These questions would never be theoretical. It will be linked with the case. But as long as you know the headings, then you can search for information about employees or manager. There will be something mentioned about internal audit, external audit. Just one, two lines from the case, and then you can explain it in your own words. Yes, yes. Break, of course. More than you, I need a break because I've been talking. Right, guys. So if you are okay, can we take a break?